Hello, welcome back to my channel. So good to be with you here today. Oh my goodness, solstice weekend, so exciting, but we've been building up to this for probably the last week or two already, as you're all feeling the energies intensify over the last few days, especially now, right now. And it's feeling very strong, very high vibrational. And there's good reason for that because the frequency that's coming through is photonic light. That's probably the key player here, the star of the show. And photonic light is living consciousness light. It does not like distortion. Any of you that have been following me for a while know that I've been talking about this for years. Photonic light, it does not like distortion. So wherever it sees distortion, it wants to get in there and it wants to clear the distortion out so we can have a higher aligned experience, which is what's taking place right now, which is actually why we're in the revelation stage of what is happening on the earth as we're seeing things coming to the light in the big reveals, both good and bad. And that's why, we're not watching, because what we give our intention to is, of course, what we are going to call into our field and create from. So we don't want to do that. And we have to remember too, in the scheme of things, that's the illusionary part of the experience that we're having here on Earth. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to look away from the illusions as they begin to, I guess, transmutation. That's a good. They get transmuted, right? And in our ability to see that it's an illusion, we transmute it, and then it gets it deconstructs. The illusions deconstruct, and so all of this is taking place through this photonic light in the higher light frequencies that we're like umbrellaed under right now. Okay, I know many of you are following the Schumann reports and seeing the results on that of what's happening. Last video, I think I mentioned the fact that we had these solar eruptions on the far side of the sun, and all of this is playing a role. These cosmic rays, the solar rays, the photonic light, all of that is coming together. Now, photonic light is also a component makeup of our body, okay? So it's interplaying in the body in a very physical way. And it may be making you tired, and then that feeling of exhaustion may be bringing about a need to maybe, sleep or take some downtime or whatever. And so we have to honor the body in whatever way it needs to be honored, so that we're doing our due diligence to our physical vessel, which of course is part of Gaia, and it's literally on loan to us while we're here. So we want to support Gaia's ascension journey that she's going through, because it's our journey too. So by taking care of ourselves and staying present and being in awareness of everything that is transpiring, that's what's going to maximize our experience here, which is why we don't want to feed our attention or intention to the illusions that are being created. Now, one of the things I want to talk about here is some things that have come up for me, so that it can help you with what is taking place in your reality. As many of you know, I had been feeding a group of stray cats, probably like I would say like 9 or 10 of them. And I got them through the winter with food. And now here on Long Island, the weather has shifted. It's in the upper 50s most of the days now, and in the upper 40s at night. So it's not really cold anymore. And so because I'm going to be moving, although I haven't received the directions yet from my higher self where that's going to be, and my landlord is his intention, as he has explained to us, is that when we transition the house back to him, whether it's before November 1st or on November 1st, when our lease expires, his plan is to move back in this house. Now, this house is a living conscious being. It's on loan from the quantum field to create this expression of the house that it is, which is why it's important for us to keep our house clean and make sure that we don't have clutter, because it's a dishonor to the house, right? But at the same time, what I realized, I woke up one morning about, probably about a week ago, and the message waking up from my higher realm team was, hey, you have to stop feeding those cats, because one is those cats are taking your energy. Two is there actually a distraction to you because you are focused on them in a way that's giving your energy and attention over to them. And next is the fact that you're handing over the house, and it needs to be handed back to the landlord in the way in which it was received in by you, which means that when I received the house in, there were no stray cats around the house that were looking for food, right? So I have to clean that up, and I have to put everything back in pristine order, and I have to surrender this situation and let it go. And that's hard to do for the human aspects within us, because then we think of ourselves as a bad person. But the bottom line here is the cats are showing up as part of the illusion, and they're reflecting to me where I need to really stand in my power and see this whole thing from the point of the illusion. And then my higher self wants me to choose myself. We have to choose ourselves and make ourselves first a priority in everything that we do, always. So my higher realm team is saying, in this case, you have to choose yourself, because if you don't choose yourself and you keep feeding those cats and creating the distraction and the distortion in the house, then you're not going to move, because that timeline will never open, because it's congested by the timeline that you have open with all those cats you're feeding. And so I know that those cats are going to end up finding their way to other situations where they're going to be taken care of, just like they found their way to me and were taken care of by me. So it's already starting to move off. They are, going back to their initial resource. Sorry, Bella is, Bella, say hello. She wants to just come up here again and say hi to you guys. Hi, everybody. So she's never been a lap cat since I've had her, but all of a sudden she has this desire to just sit in on my sessions, sit in on my recordings and whatnot. So it's just her energy that is wanting to be offered in these experiences. So I try to honor that with her and allow her to have the opportunity to express herself. And I was actually talking about the group of cats to which she came to me through. So again, it was kind of that synchronicity in that moment where I was talking about it. So I had to make a decision that was rather, challenging, or would be rather challenging if I was more in my human self. But I'm in the higher self, which the higher self is like, just do it, get it done. Let's move this on, because the faster that you can move this on, the faster the other living situation will come in where the house will present, and I won't have to worry about it, because it's going to happen faster rather than sooner. And if you know me, you know my story of how I got in this house. I don't look for the next place I'm going to live. It just shows up for me. And so that's kind of the magic here. So I want to keep creating that, which means we have to pay attention to what it is that we're creating, and not create from that lower level of distortion, which is trying to clear from the earth through that 3D field as we're elevating our consciousness and working in the higher realms. So it's very important for us to have an awareness of everything that we're creating. And so if we're taking inventory of where our thoughts are, where our attention goes to, what our intention is posted to, then we will have a better experience in our reality that we're creating, because we are creating all of it. And if we haven't had the awareness that we are creating all of it, we will have the awareness that we're creating all of it, because the more we can see what's presenting, just like I showed you with the timelines with the cats, the more we can have an awareness of the timelines that we are actually choosing for the timeline that we want to experience. Okay. Today, I happened to be working with a client this morning as one of my sessions, And as I was speaking with her, the windows that look outside are behind her. And I happened to notice this very shimmery, looked like a butterfly, but it was a little bigger than a butterfly, like bigger wings that were, kind of going like this. And it actually flew from one of the houses into the center of the street and started flying down the center of the street. And it was flying up, and then it was going down, and then it was going up, and then it was going down. And it was like more eye level, I would say. Whereas if I was outside, it would probably have been either eye level or to the top of my head. And it was just going right down the center of the street. I could not miss it because it was so shimmery and it was so shiny that I knew it was a fairy. And now you guys know that I posted a picture in my community board of a fairy yesterday that called to me when I stepped outside to take a picture and commune with the sun in her grace. So I thought to myself, how wonderful to have these beings around. And I'm always willing to be in a state of receivership if I am blessed with the opportunity to be experiencing these beings in the physical form. And I've had so many experiences with other beings that it would just be so divine if I could do that. And here's one magically showing up for me. If you go to my Instagram feed, you will see I have many, many more pictures of fairies and videos of fairies that I have captured that are in my feed. So please check that out there. The link is below. And if you're into fairies and you want more information on fairies and how to interact with them and call them in, then you can look in my web store for my online class that I did last spring or summer called Into the Woods. And it's all about the Devic realm and the fairies and the gnomes. And it was such a fun class. So that's in my online store. You can check that out. But anyway, so all of these opportunities are coming up for us to be able to be in these higher level creator states. But in order to access them, we're going to have to maintain our honor in having the highest integrity, the highest state of authenticity. So important, standing in our truth, living in our truth, right? I've been talking about this for years. If you're not familiar with my work, much of it is posted on my blog post or my Instagram feed. Also my Twitter feed, that's a little more challenging to take a look at. I think my blog and my Instagram feed is a lot easier to navigate if you're looking for specific posts. But, this is where we really have to stand in our truth, and we can't look to be something that we're not, because that's how we're gonna show up for ourselves. And that's what we're telling the universe. This is who I am, right? As we're going through this transitional phase, which is really what's important now, because realities are shifting and being expressed in all new ways. Okay. So in these reality shifting, and I'm seeing the fairy realm showing up. I mean, yesterday it was through the lens of my phone camera, and today it's in a very physicalized way. Last night when I was laying down for bed, aspects of my future self were showing up as manted beings to assist me in healing some deeper stuff that was coming up. And that really helped me out, having that awareness as I surrendered to what was needed in that next step. Because in my dream state last night, I had a dream for the third time, but a different scenario in the dream, but for the third time, that I had breast cancer in my left breast. And so it was very interesting because it was a completely different reality, a now reality. So in other words, had I chosen a different timeline, a different pathway, right? And there's bazillions of them out there, because there are so many little things that we could choose to do or not to do that makes all of these bazillions of different realities show up for us, right? But the realities that I showed up for is in my wholeness now, where I am now, okay? And so I have to clear these lower level distorted realities where the cancer could be present, because as you know, I've already had cancer in 2000, it came back in 2004. And then I was like, hey, I'm done with this, not creating this anymore, because I'm gonna recognize myself as a sovereign being, knowing that I'm capable of, healing to the level where I never, ever have to create an illness in my body ever again, right? That's just my state of knowing. And it was after I created healing with a Bartholin cyst that I had in October of 2017. That was it for me. I went into complete surrender. What is, and that was it. I healed that cyst, never looked back, and I haven't thought about being sick since then, right? And so last night when I woke up this morning from the dream that I had where I had cancer, and it was in my left breast, and it's always the same spot. It's always on the outside and towards the back. It's always in the same spot, which is kind of makes me laugh, because and how I find it in the dream, and then what I have to go through is all like, it's all the same. It's all consistent in every dream. And there's been 3 dreams like that I've had, right? So, this is where we get to heal those lower level distortions. So sometimes though, we could have a dream like that and we could start having fear and holding fear and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have breast cancer. And then we're thinking about it, and it's a focus, and we are giving it intention, and we're focusing attention to it, and we're creating the manifestation of that illness in our body. Right? So we have to be really careful with the way we're looking at our dreams these days. And we have to really see everything that we're creating from the point of creation. That's your 9D self that would be willing to take that responsibility and see it all as our own creation. Okay. And it's really so important right now to have that awareness, because in clearing these lower timelines and not getting distracted, not getting disturbed by the dream that I had breast cancer, I'm actually clearing the potential for me to ever be sick with cancer, right? And so if I can hold that higher perspective and be like, yeah, it was just a dream, I was clearing a timeline, it's not a big deal, right? That just changes everything. It changes our lives and the way we operate in our lives. But when we fall backwards and we're not seeing it from that higher perspective, and we're feeding the fear factor to it, we're going to create manifest through that fear that we're holding in our body, which is why it's important to always be sitting in our heart center and creating from the heart center, because that's where we want to be expressing ourselves from. In order for us to activate the crystalline technology that we have access to right now through this photonic light that's coming in, we're going to have to do a really good job sitting in our heart center and be very conscious as a co-creator of everything that we're creating in this now, in this reality. Okay. So working through our heart center is key. When we forget ourselves and we get, thrown off track by something, coming back into the heart and just breathing into the heart center is probably one of the most important things that we could do. Okay. So keeping that in mind is going to be very, very important, very critical to our process these next couple of months as this light frequency elevates on the earth, because it's only going to get more intensified. It's not going to stop. It's not going to slow down. If you're feeling anxious, stressed, having any kind of panic attacks, it's because your light body is activating. Okay. And in the activation of the light body, it's that crystalline technology that is coming through. And when we're going through these upgrades, it's affecting our nervous system. And so, of course, if it's affecting our nervous system, we're going to have anxiety, we're going to have stress, we're going to have all kinds of different things, right? But as I've said in the past, See, I have a hard time going to the past. If and my higher self is like, oh, let's go into the future and just explore what's going on there. So if we, go into any of the videos that I've talked about in the past, or any of the sharings that I've written in the past, you've heard me say that the feeling of being anxious and the feeling of excitement are the same vibrational feeling, right? It's the same frequency. We get to choose how we want to play in that energy. Do we want to see it as excitement, or do we want to suffer and see it as anxiousness? All right. So we're always choosing, and it's up to us. And if we're choosing anxious, then we're going to be stressed, and we may even have a panic attack. Okay. And sometimes when the light body activates really, really quickly, and it's spontaneous, and we get a zap or a jolt, it's going to make us feel like it's a panic attack because it's rushing through our body. All right. And a lot of that too activates Kundalini. So we have to be really clear of what it is that we're creating. We're feeling everything right now, and we have to feel it. We can't turn away from it. We can't look away from it. We have to receive it in and do our best job receiving it in, because it's super important for us to be a good receiver of what is taking place within our, physical body. And the more you can pay attention, the more things will become clear to you. I am working with, and I even hate that even, but it's more mentoring a young star seed. His name is Byrne, and he is an amazing, amazing soul. And I have known him since early 2020. We met on Twitter. He was reading some of my my tweets that I was in, then engaging in conversation with me. And he's around 23 and has a very interesting backstory to him, because he was born in Kenya, and doesn't have a relationship with his birth mom, because she kind of, handed him over to his grandparents to raise. And he only came here maybe a few short years ago to try and connect with her again. And he's in Texas right now. And so our conversations have always been a very high level spiritual nature, and he's holds a very ascended state of consciousness. But in the last couple of months, especially as we've been communicating, I have noticed a shift in him that has been truly significant in bringing him into his awareness of himself. And together over the last month, the work that we've been doing has helped him work through abandonment, rejection, fear, all of that sort of stuff. And because I'm, I could be his mother technically, age-wise, it all works out. It has given me an opportunity to step in and kind of take that mother figure role, which has kind of helped him heal the distortion that he came in to heal through via the soul family. But what's happened in that connection between the two of us is very interesting and unique, because a short period of time ago, he called me and he said to me, I'm activating strand 6 and I'm going through this transition and I don't really understand it fully, but you're probably not going to hear from me for a couple of days as I go through this integration. And I said to him, wow, that's amazing. You're going through embodiment of the higher self. And he's like, oh man, that is so what it feels like. He's like, I can't believe you knew that. And he's like, it just feels like this. And then he started explaining to me. So I was able to help him understand that, the higher self needs to come in and it has to work through the embodiment. So in other words, we go through a unification process, right? Unifying all aspects within, bringing everything to its fullness in unity. So in other words, there's no separation anymore. The chakras play the game of separation, right? All the meridian points and everything plays the game of separation, especially the thyroid. And so since we've been working together these last couple of months in a mentor state, you could see my light body just activated and the screen just went woo. We are, his throat chakra is clearing because now he's activating more of his divine self, bringing online that sixth strand. And what's so cool for me is, like, I know how all of this works. I know how all of this technology works, but I'm getting to see it in action through this super amazing starseed who actually knows what is taking place because he's in communion with his higher self. And so I'm watching this unfold for him, which is just the most amazing experience ever. And then as that was happening for him, my strand 7 started to activate, which strand 7 carries divine soul union. And so then it started to become very, very clear to me as I stepped more into my I am presence, right? That this was a divine soul union between this young man and I. And so the beauty of it is, yeah, I could be the representation of the divine feminine, the mother figure, the divine mother, okay? And he could receive that in and heal those wounds that he came in with, because that's what the soul group is holding, okay? And so for his journey, he can help integrate that and he can help heal that. And then for me, it allowed me to go into divine soul union. So instead of looking at the old twin flame scenario, because that's man-made, it's the narcissist empath, I've explained that in a couple of videos. It's about divine soul union with the coming together of souls. And it's not for the purpose of a romantic relationship. I mean, although there could be that too, if one, you know, happens to form that or whatever, but it's for the purpose of the coming together in unity, the unified field, being unified in consciousness with the all, right? And I'm actually seeing this expressed with him. And there'll be days, and it happens almost every day, but there'll be days where we will text each other something exactly the same, almost the same wording at the same time. And it's just like, I'm seeing everything that I've been working toward showing up in this situation with him, because he's so connected to his divine self because of the work that he came here to do. And he's a teacher. And what's interesting is I'm a life path 22. He's a life path 22. And so it's very, very cool to see this, you know, that we can come together in this way for the co-creation and the expansion. And he's you know, willing participant to allow himself to be mentored by me and to you know, exchange the information. And he offers me back to show me, yeah, this works. The work works. When we work it, it gets us into that next highest level. So it's been incredible to have this experience with him. And I really see him teaching at some point. So stay tuned for that, because I will be pushing him out of his nest, and he will be breaking through with that, I can assure you. But you know, it's just beautiful to see how this all works and how divine soul union and the coming together. And you know, I have that with so many sisters that I am connected to, and those of you here in the community that, you know, have let me know how you feel the work that I do and how everything resonates so much with you. And, you know, I feel you too. And this whole community is like coming into divine soul union too, because that's what the intention is here. That's why I don't have 500,000 followers, because it takes a lot to be in divine soul union. It takes a lot to put yourself in that placement where you want to be in the work and you want to step up and you want to do diligence to what is coming through. We're enacting the age of Aquarius, which is the unification. It is the sharing. However, as my higher realm team reminds me consistently, we have to honor the self first. We have to honor our soul first, and then we can honor every other soul around us, right? But it is in our choosing of ourself first. That's where all of this becomes amplified for us. So it's so important for us to stay in awareness of everything that we're creating and consistently choosing the higher timeline so that we can continue to co-create in the highest, best way possible. Okay. So these energies are super duper intense. It requires full, complete presence. We must be present for everything that we're creating. It is so important right now. We're in a revelation period, freedom codes still kicking off, the freedom codes that started July 4th, 2019. We are in an amazing time, and it requires our complete presence and attention, not distraction out there. Do not focus on that, okay? Accept in whatever's taking place now, accept in the gas prices. It doesn't mean that you want the gas prices to be high, but just accept it as what is. Whatever is happening, accept it as what is. This way we can stay in our grace, we can stay in our presence, we can stay in our I am presence, which is super important. And we're offering ourselves an opportunity to be in flow with everything, which then opens pathways to us. It opens the higher realms to us, where we could see the magic of a fairy just flying down the center of the street. Okay, if you would have told me I was going to be seeing that, I wouldn't have thought that. But then I'm experiencing all kinds of different things where as I'm seeing the realms, the illusion of these 3D realms breaking apart. The other night, out of the corner of my eye, I'm sitting on the couch over there and looking out of the corner of my eye, I can see this room that I'm sitting in, and everything is fluctuating. Everything is waving, right? Because it's only particle matter coming together to create form. And once I see it as the illusion, it doesn't have to be form anymore. Excuse me. So this is how it works. So if we want the magic, we have to show up for it. We have to be present first. That's the only way we're going to create it. All right. So stay present. Have a wonderful whatever it is that you're doing. Know that I love you so, so very much. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.